Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about something really fascinating microscopy and its importance in cell biology. Let's start with the basics. So, what is cell biology? At its core, cell biology is the study of cells, the basic building blocks of all living organisms. Everything in our body, from muscles to organs, is made up of cells. And the cells control everything that happens in our body, like breathing, thinking, moving, and even how we grow. Imagine that. These tiny units of life are responsible for almost everything that makes us us. Now, microscopy is a tool we use to see these cells. As you can imagine, cells are really small, so we need special instruments to look at them. That's where microscopes come in. Without microscopes, we wouldn't be able to understand how cells work or how diseases affect them. Microscopy is like a superpower that helps us see the invisible world inside our bodies. Now, how did we get to that point where we can study cells so closely? It all started a long time ago. In the 1600s, a scientist named Robert Hooke was the first to use a microscope to look at cells. He was actually looking at a piece of cork and he saw tiny box like structures, which he called cells. The name stuck, and that's what we call them today. Then there was a man named Antony van Leeuwenhoek. He took things a step further by improving the microscope. He wasn't just looking at cork though. He looked at pond water and saw tiny living creatures swimming around. What we now know are bacteria. This was a huge breakthrough in biology. The microscopes back then were quite simple, but they laid the foundation for everything we know about cells today. Over time, scientists improved these instruments, which helped us see even smaller structures inside cells, like the nucleus or the mitochondria. Now that we know a bit about the history of microscopes, let's talk about the different types of microscopes scientists use today. There are many, but I'll focus on a few that are especially important in cell biology. First, let's talk about light microscopy, the most common type of microscope. Light microscopes work by shining light through a sample. This is the type of microscope you might see in your biology lab. The simplest form is called bright field microscopy, where you can see the general shape of the cells. This is great for getting a basic idea of what cells look like. But sometimes we need to look at specific parts of the cell. That's where fluorescence microscopy comes in. This special type of microscope uses fluorescent dyes that make specific parts of the cell glow. For example, if you want to see a certain protein is inside the cell, you can tag that protein with a fluorescent dye and watch it light up under the microscope. This is super helpful for studying how different parts of the cell work together. Then there's electron microscopy, which is much more powerful. Instead of light, it uses electrons to magnify objects, which means it can show us much smaller details. There are two main types: transmission electron microscopy, or TEM, and scanning electron microscopy, or SEM. TEM allows us to look inside the cell, revealing structures like the nucleus or mitochondria in amazing detail. SEM, on the other hand, gives us 3D images of the surface of cells so we can see things like the texture of the cell membrane. Finally, there's confocal microscopy, which is great for getting really sharp 3D images. It uses lasers to scan the sample and create highly detailed pictures. This is especially useful when you want to look at the cell in layers, almost like peeling back the layers of an onion to study the inside. So why is all this microscopy stuff so important in cell biology? Well, imagine trying to study a car without even being able to look inside the engine. You could guess how it works based on the shape of the car, but you'd miss a lot of important details, right? That's how it is with cells. Without microscopy, we wouldn't be able to understand what's happening inside them. Microscopy allows scientists to see the different structures inside cells. Things like the nucleus, which holds the DNA, and the mitochondria, which are the cell's energy factories. This is crucial because these structures are responsible for the cell's function. For example, the mitochondria generate energy for the power or that power the cell. Without them, the cell would stop working. Moreover, microscopy helps us understand cell processes like cell division. Through microscopy, we can watch cells divide, a process called mitosis, and see how they grow and develop. These observations are key to understanding diseases like cancer, where cells divide uncontrollably. By studying these processes, we can develop better treatments. And speaking of diseases, microscopes are also crucial in disease research. With the help of microscopes, scientists can see how diseases like cancer, viruses, and bacteria affect cells. For example, in cancer research, scientists use microscopes to observe how cancer cells grow and spread. They can see the abnormal behavior of cancer cells, like how they divide faster than normal cells. This helps scientists understand the disease better and find new ways to treat it. Microscopes also help us study how viruses and bacteria invade and infect our cells, and by looking at these interactions up close, scientists can develop vaccines and treatments to fight off infections. Now let's take a look at the future of microscopy. Technology is constantly advancing, and scientists are developing new types of microscopes that allow us to see even smaller details of cells. For example, there are super resolution microscopes that go beyond the usual limits of light microscopes and allow us to see the smallest parts of cells at a molecular level. There's also live cell imaging, which lets scientists watch cells in action in real time. Imagine being able to watch how a cell responds to a drug or how it changes over time. This is a game changer for medical research. To wrap up, microscopy has played a huge role in helping scientists understand the inner workings of cells. From looking at the basic structure of cells to studying diseases and discovering new treatments, microscopes are a key tool in modern biology. Thanks to these powerful instruments, we've made incredible advances in medicine, genetics, and many other fields. Remember, microscopy is like having a superpower to explore the tiny world inside our bodies. It opens up a whole new universe that we wouldn't be able to see otherwise. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have any questions about microscopes or anything we'd talk about today? Maybe you're curious about a specific type of microscope or how they're used in research. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one last thought. The world of cells is incredibly small, yet it plays an enormous role in everything around us. Thanks to microscopy, we've unlocked a window into this hidden world, allowing us to better understand how life works and how we can protect it. Just like how explorers once discovered new lands, scientists today are exploring the inner landscapes of living organisms, and microscopes are the most essential tool. Who knows, maybe some of you will become the next great scientists to make new discoveries using microscopes. So, next time you think about the tiny cells inside your body, remember that microscopes have opened up a whole universe of possibilities. Thank you for your time and attention today. If you ever had the chance to look through a microscope, I hope you're as amazed as I was when I first did. Thank you and see you in the next module. Bye bye.